there's going to be a time where your parents aren't going to get it. Your friends aren't going to listen to it. No one's really going to care. But as long as you care, that's all that matters.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Headliner Mindset Podcast. This week's guest is one of the hottest rising acts in the bass music scene. In this episode, we talk about his creative process behind his hit records, the inspiration behind his brand, and his courageous decision to drop out of grad school and go all in on his artist project. This is Nikita the Wicked. Nikita, welcome to the show. I'm so stoked that you're here. And when I mean here, literally here, you are literally here.
I'm here
with me. For everybody listening on Spotify, we're here in Austin, alive and in the flesh.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah.
Super hyped to be here. My first time in Austin as well.
First time in Austin and kind of first podcast too.
Yeah.
A small one.
Yeah, I did a small one with a really good friend of mine, but yeah, it's like the first like official one. So yeah,
dude. Hell
excited.
Yeah. I feel very honored. Thanks so much for being down to hop on.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
I would love to start off by just hearing a bit about your story. Like, when did you start producing music? What got you into it?
Sure, yeah, man. I started producing music in high school, actually, around 2016, 2017. I was making hip-hop beats that were just terrible. That was like what I first started with. Hip-hop was always my first love. And then I went to college at the University of South Carolina and got really into DJing.
Yeah.
And kind of in my earlier years of college, I put producing aside. I was just DJing at all the parties around there. And then towards the end, I kind of saw that like DJing can only get you so far without actual production. So that senior year, July 2020 is when I started Nikita the Wicked, going into my senior year of college. And I just like really went into it. I was just like taking notes to start my day, going to class, coming back, producing music for like 4 hours, and then like playing shows at night. So that was kind of like my daily routine.
Damn.
Yeah.
And so at that point, did you have the vision and the goal of being like, I really want to do this? I want to actually become like a professional artist and DJ? Or was it still kind of a hobby that you were having fun with?
I think it was definitely, at the time, it was something I really took seriously, especially at like South Carolina, where dance music wasn't very prevalent. It felt like people maybe didn't understand it as much, but I definitely knew that this is like all I wanted to kind of learn about and just like evolve with it. So yeah.
And then you went to grad school after that.
I did.
As well. So I was really curious to dig into this because I am, this is the Headliner Mindset.
Sure.
I am all about, mental health and wellness and the mindset side of, just success and even just being human, navigating like that stuff. And so you went to grad school for psychology,
clinical psychology.
So what was your vision with that? And I guess your inspiration to go in that direction?
Yeah, so I went to Palo Alto University. It's a really small school right by Stanford. I was just there it was like a 2-year program to go into therapy. Because my undergrad was experimental psychology, so I knew like the next route for academic wise was to get into grad school. And I just knew that wherever I wanted to, like wherever like psychology took me, I just knew I had to be in California. So like I just knew like California was where I had to be. I think internally I knew like I wanted to do music and I needed to be in California, and school was just a way to get me there. It made my parents happy. That I was like, oh my God, you went to grad school. And so I was like, that kind of brought me there. But yeah, that's how it went.
I see. Okay. So there was almost like an unconscious pull.
I think so.
I'm supposed to be here in the entertainment capital of the world.
I think so. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And so there was also a part of you though that like wanted to become a therapist?
I think there was a part of me internally that saw a career path within psychology. I felt like even in undergrad, I found the coursework I liked learning about it. I really liked learning about it in the classes, but it really came down to once I did my first internship in grad school, where I really was not. I figured it like came to me that this was not the path for me, and that was also the time where I was also still working super hard at music at the same time. So it was kind of a split down to two roads, basically.
So you were just starting to tell me a cool part of your story with like the moment that you decided that you were not going to continue with grad school.
Yeah.
Share that, because I want to share my story as well, because it's actually pretty similar.
Yeah, so I didn't finish grad school. I came into grad school, like I completed all my coursework, and when I did my first internship, where I just said I really didn't enjoy it, I was I was working at a middle school in the Tenderloin district of San Francisco. If you don't know what that is, it's like one of the most like dangerous, like kind of bad parts of San Francisco. So I saw a lot of like really messed up things, and then just kind of going into this middle school being a counselor, and I felt like I was doing a bad job. I felt like my like supervisor thought I was doing a bad job. And what really made me not appreciate it or just made me feel bad was that I knew that these kids needed a counselor who really had 100% of their heart in the craft in the profession, and I
Yeah.
knew I wasn't in it.
Yeah.
So it just gave me a lot of anxiety, like a lot of stress. And fast forward to my second internship, I basically walk into a different internship, and on the very first day of orientation, they gave me like 50 to 70 files of just paperwork to look at and fill out. And it was just in that moment I stood up and I walked out, and I was like, I'm not doing this
Yeah,
anymore.
dude.
That was kind of the start.
And it's like you can feel it in your body if you know that there's a misalignment.
Yeah.
Right? Like there is a calling, there is a purpose, there is a passion and a gift inside of me that wants to come out for you, that's being an artist and making music. When you're doing shit that's not in alignment with that, like
Yeah.
you're gonna feel it.
Yeah.
Right. And in that moment, you that was like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, it
right?
really was. It really takes a lot of, I feel like, courage. I felt like to just
Yeah.
be like, I cannot go down this
Totally, dude.
again.
It takes fucking courage, man. And it's like I really want to hammer this point home because I think that there's a lot of people, not just artists, but a
Yeah.
lot of people that are showing up and doing something every day, and they're like, I know this is not what I was born to do. This
Yeah.
this is not it. But it's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary to take that leap
Very
of faith.
scary.
It requires a lot of courage.
Mhm.
It really is a leap of faith. You have to have faith.
Mhm.
You got to trust that, like, if you follow your bliss, as Joseph Campbell says, follow your bliss and the universe will open doors where there were only walls,
Wow.
right? Trust that if I jump, I'll be okay. Because, like listening to that kind of inner conflict, it's like, it's speaking so loudly. It's
Yeah.
speaking so clearly, not in words, but in feeling.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to follow that feeling. And so for me, I want to share similarly, right out of college, I graduated on Saturday, moved in with a girlfriend on Sunday, started a job at a financial advising firm on Monday.
Wow.
About 2 months into this financial advising job, I remember having a call with a friend, and she told me how she had signed up to do LSAT classes to study to go to law school.
Yeah.
And she was like, I went to the first day of classes, I sat down in the chair, and like halfway through the class, I realized, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, this is not for me. Like, I just know in my soul, this is not it.
Yeah.
And she got up in the middle of the class and just left in the middle of it. And it hit me like a lightning bolt. I was on my way to meet with like a potential client for this financial advising job. And it just hit me so hard. I was like, this is not it. Like,
Yeah.
this ain't it.
Yeah.
And so I went on the spot. I told the client, like, hey, thanks for meeting with me, but like, I'm about to go quit my job. I just drove into the office, quit the job on the spot.
Wow.
Came home, told my girlfriend, I was like, hey, like, this is not for me. Like, I got to go chase something. I don't even know what it is, but
Yeah.
like, this is not it. And so a ton of fucking courage. It took a ton of courage. I ended up moving to LA with $1,000 and knew one person. And, a year later had my own office in Capitol Records.
Wow.
But it's like, it requires that fucking leap of faith,
Yeah.
man, and like listening to that voice. So I just love that part of your story
Yeah.
that you went for it.
Yeah, it's especially hard, especially in those earlier days of like music production, where, especially like my first 6 months when I moved to San Francisco, and I didn't know anyone. I was like 2,000 miles away from all my family and friends, because I'm from Kentucky and went to school in South Carolina. So I was pretty sad because I didn't know anyone. I was in this program that I didn't know if it was for me, but I was spending all my time making music and doing music production. And like one thing I told myself was like, or something I say, I used to teach lessons as well. One thing I would say is like, there's going to be a time where your parents aren't going to get it. Your friends aren't going to listen to it. No one's really going to care. But as long as you care, that's all that matters.
What keeps you going in those moments?
Just that belief that you just believe in yourself when no one else will. You just got to know that you have it. And even like a year or two into the Nikita the Wicked project, I knew that in my production that there was something here. And there were just a couple of other artists that were a bit bigger than me who, when they would, follow me, like me, be like, yo, you're really good. I was like, okay, that the fact that they think this,
Yeah.
and I have like 500 monthly listeners at the time, means like there could be something here.
Yeah.
So you just got to
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah.
Keep your head down, keep going.
What would you say has been your driving force behind pursuing this path and this project?
It was just something I've always wanted to do since I came to college and started DJing. It was just like I feel like that feeling of playing live in front of people was something that just it's like a feeling like no other can compare. It's just such bliss and such happiness where and especially at a point now where now you get to play your own music and people are singing the lyrics to your songs. It's such a beautiful moment. It's like how could it get better than this? So that's just like it's just I just really love playing live and just having my music just like, mean something to people. So I think that's what drives me.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I'm curious to hear about your creative process.
Sure.
Because I'll be honest, I'm notoriously not the biggest like bass head in the
Sure.
world. I'm more on the house side.
Cool.
I'm actually a big metal head. That's
Yeah.
kind of my main thing.
Right.
I'm more like the progressive house sort of scene. I'm definitely loving a lot more bass music these days. My girlfriend is a huge bass head.
Cool.
And so she's throwing on playlists and shit. And it was, just relatively recently that she was playing a playlist and like your song. What's the big song that you have that's
Like Me?
Like Me?
Yeah.
Right? That song came on. I was like, I did a double take. I'm like, what is this? I like, what the fuck is this? Like, who is this artist? Like, this is fucking cool. And then I was like, okay, cool. Nikita the Wicked, dope. And then, she's playing some other songs or whatever. And then another song comes on. I was like, is this that same guy? I was like, there's like, and she's like, yeah, this is the same one. And there's a sound and a vibe and a flavor that's just different. And like, you have your own energy and spice, that it's like, even as like I'm just a, again, yeah, a non-bass head, but just a music person that I feel like you have something really unique and different that you're bringing to the scene and that you're bringing. So
Appreciate it.
I want to like dig into your creative process.
Sure.
Right. And I guess I'm just curious about what does that look like for you when you sit down? How do you produce? Where do you draw inspiration? I know a lot of artists are maybe struggling to find their sound or dealing with creative blocks or a big thing is like chasing other sort of sounds. Doesn't sound like you're doing that at all. So what does your process look like?
Certainly in the earlier stages, it was a bunch of chasing different sounds and trying and produce. Like if you listen to my discography, like I started with like future bass and then I made trap and then I went back to future bass and I made a big house song and then now I'm a bass artist. So like I've kind of been around like different genres. And like I always say to artists, like when you try to like produce different genres, it will make your own sound that much better because it shows that you're a very versatile artist and you can take a piece of this style and a piece of that style and put it together. And that's kind of what replicates your sound. I think that's really important. And for me, like I'm a big sample guy in terms of like really digging in the crates and finding something unique. And that really comes from my love of hip hop. Like the producer The Alchemist is one of my biggest like inspirations, and just the way he samples and chops up these like some like Japanese record from like 1972, some like soul stuff. Like I really like doing that, and it's cool because in hip hop they do it so well, but in dance music it seems like it's not done as enough. So I always like, if I'm gonna start something from scratch, I'm gonna like look for some really weird sample and start there. That's kind of how I like to start.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I love the permission to explore.
Yeah.
Right? Like play with other genres, try different things. I think a lot of people are kind of trying to lock in on their lane. And that is a question I get a lot of, like, oh, should I focus on one sound? Because like a lot of people say you should have consistency. Whereas a lot of people, I think, their heart and soul kind of wants to make different shit.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of artists almost don't give themselves permission to do that. Play around, make a house song.
Yeah.
Get a little.
Well, because most of the time you don't even know what your sound is.
Yeah.
And you won't for like a long time. Like sometimes the audience knows your sound better than you. Like when my fans will hear like the first like 5 seconds of my song, they're like, oh, that's a Nikita the Wicked song. It's just like, how do they know that before? Like that's crazy that they just know the certain production like I guess like decisions you make, that's what your sound is. And it's really easy for like a big artist to be like, well, just find your sound and you'll break out. It's just like, okay, that's easier said than done. Like you won't really know your sound. The sound will kind of come to you by the decisions you make while you're making a song. That's what I think.
You feel like you've found that for yourself now?
I think so. I guess like I like to think I've found my sound, and certainly like my friends and my audience seems to really appreciate my sound. I think with this next project, that I'm about to release here soon, my next EP, it will definitely fully show the sound that I'm on. Basically, the songs I've been leading up to this sound, that is Nikita the Wicked. So I'm really excited for that project. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm curious to get your thoughts on this because I see this happen where you find your sound and you start becoming successful. People start liking you for that. And now that's what you're getting booked for. That's what you're getting paid for. You know, now you're paying the bills with this business that you've created around your sound. And sometimes artists can get kind of pigeonholed or feel the pressure to be like, well, I got to keep doing this thing because it's working, right? And I see some artists that do, and then there's other artists that really allow themselves to continuously reinvent themselves and continue to explore. How do you feel about that? What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. I mean, I'm well aware I'm the bass guy. I'm kind of like the new kid on the block in bass music. I'm pretty aware of that title right now, and like that's cool. Like I'm right now I love making bass music, and especially in more of like my style of bass music, because it's like I wouldn't really like call my stuff like dubstep, or I wouldn't really call it like rhythm or like even like garage. It's kind of just like bits and pieces of all of it. I think that's more unique, and just the fact that I started in different genres and now I'm in bass. Like my biggest song before my last EP, The Auction, was like a deep house record. It was like an art house record, and it's just like it like maybe one day I want to return to that phase when I've like accomplished everything I want to accomplish in bass music. But right now, like I totally understand, like this is what's paying the bills. Like you could get burnt out making this style all the time, but I would say like, don't put yourself in a box. And I love it when artists like evolve with their sound.
Totally.
I like it, just shows growth, like evolution of an artist, I think is really important. So
Well, one, I love that it's like you're making bass music that even non-bass heads like.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Me being one of them. But also just, I guess I just really want to see everyone continue to evolve. You know what I mean? To continue. I think that is the role of an artist, is to continue to explore. Right. And if your inspiration takes you in a new direction, you got to have the courage, take that leap of faith. Right? Like, okay, maybe this is what's familiar, and it gets familiar, and you build the audience and the following. And if you have that spark and that calling, like, go make the fucking deep house song. Like, have the courage to do that. A lot of artists don't.
Especially like if your fans like really truly love you, they will ride with you. Regardless, they'll always appreciate your sound, because like it doesn't matter if I make a house or like a future bass song. Like it's still gonna be a Nikita the Wicked record at the end of the day. Like those decisions that I make will still be apparent in all my songs at the end of the day.
Totally.
So,
And so it's obviously about more than just the music these days as well. There's like the audience and the social media. Tell me about, I guess, the brand of Nikita the Wicked and your relationship with social media. That's a sticking point for a lot of people. They really love making music all day, but they don't really want to put themselves out there. What have you been finding, I guess, kind of just works for you in being like authentic with your brand and your marketing and your social media?
Yeah, sure. It all really kind of came down to last summer when I released my EP independently called I Love It When They Run, and that was kind of the idea of that. I was like, okay, I know what I'm gonna wear this red suit, and I'm gonna play this like villain character of this project. And then I started this catchphrase that was like, dance music needed a villain. So at the end of every video, it ended with dance music needed a villain. And it was like, dance music has a lot of heroes, now it needs a villain. And like people really appreciated that. They understood it. And especially like the red suit, like I got to play a character with that project. And I think the idea of playing characters is really cool and really not done a lot in dance music as well. Just I feel like a lot of people are trying to chase that hit single, where I really like that, building a whole project together. So like that last EP, this upcoming one. So I'm planning my next character for this next project too. But in terms of like the content side, like, it was just kind of like really ingraining this character with it, and like people like always like comment on like the way I move like in my videos, and when you see me live, and like that's pretty apparent. Like that's just kind of how I digest music. And also like grew up, I did 8 years of ballroom dancing. So like
Cool.
like my whole childhood was dancing. So like now I produce, like that's how music comes to me. Like that's just how it is. So
Love that, man. Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great point. Is like bring all of yourself into, your brand,
Yeah.
right? Like, cool, you got a background in ballroom dancing, bring that in. You're a ex skateboarder, bring that in.
Yeah.
Show people who you are, and I think that's it's all about expression, right? That was something that jumped out at me as well once I started like following you and outside of just listening to the music, but then seeing, just you and like just the vibe and the swag, even like the fashion, I'm like, oh, this guy's got he's got a look.
The grandpa style.
Yeah, dude, which is so cool. It's one of my favorite things actually is contrast. When you think of like bass music, there's kind of like an aesthetic that goes with that that is also very overly done, like everyone kind of falls into that same sort of aesthetic. And then when you pop out, or like, yeah, I sound like this, but I look like this, and it's almost like a pattern interrupt in your brain, which I love. I love when people do that.
Yeah.
So you nailed that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's something that a lot of people aren't thinking about, really. Like, how am I presenting myself visually as an artist, and style, clothing, like that's a part of it that I think
100%.
is becoming more and more part of the game. It's like, I bring this up all the time, but EDM as a blanket umbrella term for electronic music is kind of the new kid on the block of the major like food groups. There's rock, pop, hip hop, but a rapper's gonna dress like a fucking rapper. They're gonna have they know style is important. A pop artist is gonna come out and look the part. And I think finally, DJs are starting to like catch on to that as well. Like be an artist.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I think individuality, like the fashion, true. Like it's not even fashion. Like Tyler the Creator is like a huge inspiration of mine. Like the whole character building arc was him, and just like his fashion style is something I really like. Just the collared shirts and the slacks. I think it's a really unique vibe, especially in dance music, because like all DJs wear our black tees.
That's it. Yeah,
I can't have it anymore with the black tees. I mean, I get it because like when you DJ, you sweat, and like with the black tees, no one's gonna see it. But it's like I can't. I'm not trying to wear that. I'm just not.
I saw Lane 8 last night.
Yeah.
Which first off, it was a no phones allowed show.
Yeah.
Never done that before. It was so sick. I'm putting this out there, y'all. Start doing that if you can.
No
like
phones.
That was fucking epic.
Yeah.
No phones allowed, no cameras, purely being present. It was so cool. But yeah, he came out, he had like a tie on and like socks like pulled over his pants.
That's
and
cool.
Shit. It's like I was like, this guy's doing his own thing. Yeah. It was very cool. You're here in Austin. You're playing with Zed's Dead tonight. Awesome. So excited to come out and see you get down. When did things start to click for you on the business side? You have a manager now, you have an agent now. When did all of that start coming together for you?
So I got my agent. I have two agents, and I got them in July of last year. And that really just came from like the promotion of the EP. Like in like a span of like 2 weeks, I went from like 2,000 followers to like 10,000 Instagram followers.
Wow. That's a big jump.
It was a very big jump. And like I never went like viral either. Like I never had a video that got like 3 million views or something. I got one that got like 80,000, the next one get like maybe 60,000, the next one get like 120,000. So it was like semi like viral, but not like viral. But it felt like it was a really good fan base and people who were generally into the style. And so that's where the agent came, and then my manager I've had since December 2021. She's been a friend of mine for quite some time. I had like 500 monthly listeners, and she DM'd me on Instagram and was like, "Listen, I work at like the USC school like graduate program for like music industry studies. I want to be a manager. I will be your manager, and I will do all the things that you don't want to do with being an artist, and I'll like do it like for free." And I was like, "Just you're hired." Like,
so she DM'd you and was like, "I want to help you."
Yeah.
Wow.
She reached out. One of like the first people who like ever believed in what I was doing.
Jackie, right?
Jackie.
Shout out Jackie. Hell yeah.
So yeah, and
that's so cool. So what were you doing that inspired her to reach out to you?
I probably had like 5 or 6 songs about at this time, and I think there was like at one point in 2021 where I had one TikTok get like 10,000 views, like something not even that
Yeah.
crazy. And I think she was like, I found you from this, and I love every song that you
Yeah.
had. And I had like 6 or 5 songs at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's a cool, I think when it comes to the artist manager relationship, there's so many different ways that it can look. I think it's cool that like you were both coming up together. It's like she wasn't, everyone wants to get like the huge manager. Everyone wants to work with Moshe Leezy. You're like, okay,
yeah.
cool. But to find someone else that's like, hey, I'm trying to build my career. You're trying to build yours.
Yeah.
Let's do it
It
together.
was like,
you
let's
know?
work on this together. So like as she was learning things about being a manager, I was learning things about being an artist. So it just worked
So
really well.
cool.
And she's part of 2+2 management, so which I now just signed for. So now I'm like
Yeah.
officially a part of the management company she works
Hell
for.
yeah.
But she was kind of having me as like her side project for
Yeah.
like 3 years since
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And so this EP though, you guys dropped this EP, and that was a big moment. You said you basically 5x'd your following.
Yeah.
Doing that. What was that with a label?
That was independent.
That was, you did that totally independently.
Yeah, I did
So
that.
how was that so successful?
It
Like,
just came to, I was just posting every single day. I was doing the Red Suit, the dance music Nia the Villain, and it just like people were listening. And then I feel like Spotify started noticing me. I like the first time I got on like a Spotify playlist, I got a cover on the Spotify playlist in like January of 2024, for my house record, The Auction.
sick.
So I was like, okay, this is cool because now Spotify knows who I am.
Yeah.
So like even though I was independently promoting this project, I was still getting a couple songs in like the Bass Arcade playlist or like the Trap Mojito playlist. I was like, wow, we don't have a label and we're on these big Spotify playlists, so like that's a good sign.
How are you getting on the Spotify playlist? That's everyone's question. Is like, it seems like such a crazy castle to breach. How
I
do you-
feel like everyone always wants to know how to get on those editorial playlists, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not the one to like explicitly tell you like there's only one way
Yeah.
to do it because I don't really know how it happened.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
so elusive.
I mean, like my manager certainly did an amazing job pitching it to distributors. Like she knew like how to explain my brand and have the music, kind of explain the brand, explain the song. So she obviously did great pitching everything. But yeah, I mean, there's no real one answer. But I also want to say like, once you do get on the editorials, it's not like you've made it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like that's what I thought when I got my first play. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be famous
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah.
Like I made it. Like it's great because now Spotify's know you and you'll get like some sort of like passive streaming from like editorials. But that doesn't exclusively mean those listeners from that playlist are your fans. A lot of it is
Yeah.
passive listening. So
That's
it's a
true.
great stepping stone, but it's not the most important thing when it
Yeah.
comes to releasing music.
Yeah,
So
good
yeah.
point. I remember you saying on this other podcast that I had listened to from you, and this was, I think, maybe 3 years ago or something that you did it.
Probably.
And you were saying, you're like, yeah, you basically said you were excited to someday get 1 million streams. He was asking you like, what's one of your goals? Like, I want to get 1 million streams on one of my records, and you've done that now.
I did, yeah.
How does that feel?
I did it twice actually. I did it on that house record, and then the Like Me hit 1 million. Yeah, that was really cool.
How long did the excitement around that last?
Like a couple days, honestly. Well, what really made it cool was I put this on my story one day, the day after I hit 1 million streams on that song. In my like last quarter of grad school, after I like called it a quits, I wrote down on one of the classes. The professor said, "Write down where you see yourself in 3 years, like 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year. What are you going to be doing?" And everyone obviously in the class was like, "I'm gonna be the therapist by this point. I have my private practice. I'll have this." And I wrote, first 1 million streams, then tour, and then play a festival. Those I'm gonna do those like year 1, year 2, year 3, and like and I did it all in a different order. Like
Yeah.
I played the festival. It was the first thing I did. I played Hijinks in December, and the Zed's Dead tour was the second thing I did, and the Million Streams was like the last thing I did. So I had it, but it was in a reverse order. But I did everything that I wrote in that class that I want to do in 3 years, and I did it in like a year and a half as well.
You knew what you wanted.
I knew what I wanted even in that class, and I knew I was like writing shit that was different than everyone, but that was what I really wanted. So once that song hit 1 million, I was like, wow, I actually just did every goal that I set
Yeah.
for that point.
Are you a big goal setter? Do you like do vision boards and write goals down and
I'm
that
really
kind of
not.
stuff?
And I was even like the fact that I wrote those goals and then like I found that piece of paper that I wrote like cleaning my closet. I was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna keep this and like
Yeah,
frame it
yeah,
actually. But I once I hit a million, my girlfriend was like, all right, well now you need to set some new ones. I was like, you're right, I need to set
yeah.
like a new what's year and then like next three
So
years.
what are the next goals?
I'm still trying to figure out what those goals are, honestly. I mean, I would say a headline tour
Headline tour.
is the number one goal of mine right
For
now,
sure.
which I'm planning for next year.
Yeah,
Early next year is
yeah,
the plan right now.
yeah.
That would be really cool.
Okay.
But the other two I haven't really thought of yet, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. It's like because it's, there's streams, tours, shows.
hmm
Okay. What else though?
Yeah.
You were saying earlier that you're interested in like film music too,
Yeah, once
right?
I say that like once I've accomplished everything I want with dance music, which is probably like headlining some festivals and getting a couple I want to make a hit record like a Billboard charting. I just don't know if that's like really me or like something that you kind of like actively do. But the point is like once I do everything I want with dance music, I want to move to film
Mm.
music because like film is also a big love of mine. Like film scoring, that was like well, I took a class. My favorite class ever in college was intro to film scoring, and
Cool.
I just showed up every day like super excited, like genuinely excited for that class. So
Hell
I
yeah.
really want to get into that.
You see yourself, you said you started making like hip hop beats originally.
hmm
You see yourself doing like producing for other artists or
I would
hip hop
love to
artists or
make
something?
hip
Yeah.
hop beats for people. It's like hard because like I feel like rappers like when they see like an EDM artist like send you beats, they're like, oh EDM, I don't want to mess with that. But I don't know. I That's definitely something I want to do because there's days where I'm just like, okay, I don't want to make a bass song today. Like I've done it
Yeah.
the last 5 days when I'm like get some hip hop drums and make some
Yeah.
hip hop. So yeah.
So if you could produce for any hip hop artist, who would that be? Like top dream artist to work with?
Damn. I like don't even have an answer to that.
Give me like three that would be cool to work with.
Tyler the Creator, Childish Gambino. If we're doing like Dead or Alive, I would probably do MF Doom just because that's also an icon of mine. Just to have
Okay.
him on a record.
Well, we just found your next goal then.
That's it. Wait, yeah, that's it.
Get a track with Tyler the Creator.
Yeah, that's
Get
probably
a
a
track with Childish Gambino.
Well, actually, I'm a sub Childish Gambino and do Jack Harlow because he's from Louisville, Kentucky, and that's where I'm from.
There we
And that would
go.
be really cool.
Jack, if you're watching, let's make this shit happen. You got your boy right here.
That would be so cool.
Yo, put it down.
Yeah, I'm gonna write it down.
Let's go. We're gonna come back. We're gonna clip this podcast in like 2 years and be
Yeah.
like, hey, this is the moment it was manifested.
Hell yeah, on this podcast.
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah, I'm curious to hear more, coming from working in the kind of like the therapy space,
Sure.
the counseling space. Do you have any practices that you do to keep your mind right in this fun, wild, awesome journey of being an artist?
Yeah. I guess for like when it comes to like that, I would say like writer's block is something I think all artists kind of deal with,
Mm,
where like dude, it's like when you're a producer, it's like some days you're just like, oh, I'm him, I'm one of the greats, and the other days like I'm actually so bad, like I'm so bad because you just you make three songs and they're all terrible. Like those days happen all the time, and
yeah.
that's when you get into writer's block because you feel like you can't write anything.
Mm,
And for me, it helps, like for me to just like focus on my other hobbies. So like I love watching film and just like even like not even like watching film, but like kind of analyzing it from like a director's point of view and just
mm,
like the film scoring. Like I really love watching film, and then like getting outside as much as you can. I've been running a lot. Like 2025, I've been like at least 2 to 3 times a week. I'm trying to run as much
yeah.
as I can. Just getting outside and not thinking about just the production for like a couple hours, just like kind of forget. I like to like forget that song that I wrote that day.
Mm,
So when I come back the next day and remember, oh, I did that. Wait, let me change my bass. That sounds way better. Like,
yeah.
you just kind of like spark and remember
Yeah.
how it should be.
Yeah. So walk
So
away
yeah.
from it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you usually have multiple projects that you're working on at the same time?
Yeah,
Like
especially right
games?
now.
Yeah.
There's some weeks where you have so much and others where there's not. Like right now finishing up this EP I mean like it's like been finished. I'm just like suddenly like tweaking things here and there. But I'm in like big collab mode in
Yeah.
2025. So Yeah, I'm working with a bunch of different artists right now, and just like all of my releases so far have been collabs, which is something I didn't do at all last
Mm.
year, maybe like one or two, but all of them collabs. I got a collab with I think I'm allowed to say this, Lewis the Child
Sick.
coming up. Hopefully I don't I probably can't say when, but I do have a collab with Lewis the Child, and that's like something that's
Yeah.
just really big for me as a artist that like really grew up and took notes of their music growing up when I was like starting Nikita the Wicked, I was really studying their music and was such a big fan.
Yeah.
So just like be able to have a song with them is something super cool.
That's super cool.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Who back to that same question, I guess, on the collaboration side as like a with the brand and your electronic stuff, like who would be like a awesome dream collab that you'd love to work with?
I mean Skrillex for sure.
Yeah.
That's the god.
Yeah.
That's the one who was chosen. It's like
Right. Sonny, if you're watching, next collab right
he's
here,
definitely
bro.
watching,
We're
yeah.
we're manifesting
Yeah.
it. We're just planting seeds.
It's
This
the
is going to be the
manifest
manifestation
podcast.
episode. We're just going to circle back to it. This
Yeah.
is the moment.
It's just the thing about him is that anytime he drops, especially a project, he changes the game. He shakes it up entirely, and I
Yeah.
just love artists who does that. And obviously Flume was like my first dance music artist where I was like, you are my favorite ever. So like
Yeah.
I have those two as like my holy grail of my favorites ever. So like those are the two that I
Cool.
would want to for sure.
Let's go. Goals.
Yes.
Put it on the goals
Yeah,
list.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I want to go back to your passion for film.
Sure.
Who are some directors and like what styles of, and when you're like analyzing films and movies, like,
Yeah.
what's your lane? Who are you into?
It's funny when I say analyzing, it's like I love watching movies that I've like seen so many times, either that I grew up on or just
Mhm.
like watch, because now I like since I know how the story goes, I'm like looking at it from a different plot. I'm like, wait, that camera angle is sick, or like,
Yeah.
wait, I like how they cut it like that. So like I love watching like that. But I'm the biggest Tarantino fan. That's my
Yeah,
number
dude.
one favorite director. Like it's
Yeah.
hard for me to even pick a favorite movies because all of them are like so
Yeah.
they change every month for me. He's a big one. Wes Anderson, just cinematography alone, I think he's the best. I mean, like I honestly took notes from him for my content videos because his whole thing are symmetrical shots. Like every
Yeah.
shot of his is like the most symmetrically beautiful shot, and like that's why it's always like my content venues are always like symmetrical. You're gonna have my studio, you're gonna have the artwork in the back. I'm always in the middle of the frame. Like that's really important to me.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the scale of what he's doing, but I just like the idea of like symmetrical shots
Yeah.
makes sense to me. So I really like that. So like Tarantino, Wes Anderson are really cool. I really like the Safdie brothers. I don't know if you're
What
heard of
have
them.
they done?
They did Uncut Gems, that
Oh, okay.
Adam Sandler movie, but the movie they did before that was Good Time, and I fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
It's like this is like Robert Pattinson's greatest role ever.
That
Check
was
out
good.
Good Time.
I didn't love Uncut Gems though. I was a little
I
like,
really like that movie.
Really?
A lot of people
Yeah.
like if you like the Safdie style, which I
Okay.
do, you're into it, but
yeah,
like
it's a style.
yeah, it's like they do stuff really
Yeah.
well. And then like on the film scoring side, there's like the GOATs that's like Hans Zimmer, John Williams. And then like Trent Reznor is really cool. Ludwig Göransson is like probably the greatest right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
He did Oppenheimer. He did
Yeah.
the score for that. And I think he
Yeah.
just did the Sinners
He's done a lot of.
score. He's like
He's
the new.
he's the man.
He's the
He's
new
he's
like John Williams. That guy's
the
crazy.
dude.
And he
Yeah.
did the Awaken My Love Childish Gambino album. He was like,
Yeah,
one of the head
yeah.
producers on that. So
Yeah.
he's awesome.
Yeah, he's like he's like the modern, like he's bringing in like electronic stuff.
Yeah.
It's not just like the classical symphonic
Yeah.
cinematic stuff.
He's
like
insane.
cutting
He's
edge.
so good.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. I love though that you have this passion for film and that you're making the connection to like pulling that inspiration into the brand, and into the marketing, because it is like my kind of framework for, what it takes to be successful as an artist is first and foremost, it is the mindset.
Yeah.
Having the courage to fucking go for it.
Yeah.
Having the courage to walk out of that job that you don't love.
Yeah.
But then you really got to make good music,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of the product,
Mhm.
right? But then you got to have a good brand and you got to be good at marketing too,
Mhm.
right? And so, seeing how like you have been able to hit all of those, with the character,
Mhm.
right? Okay, cool. I've got a character. I've got a vibe. I've got this style
Mhm.
that's gonna pop out. The villain of dance music,
Mhm.
right? It's like not only do I have the sound, but my friend Chris runs a branding agency, marketing agency called the Cult Creatives.
Cool.
And he always says that the music is the soundtrack to the movie. A lot of producers were just focused on the music.
Mhm.
what's the movie that you're creating though? You're
Mm,
creating the
I
movie
like
of
that.
Nikita the Wicked,
That's
and
cool.
you've got the character, you've
Yeah.
got the style,
Hmm.
and then the marketing though too. You said like, back to your EP, like you were just posting every day,
Hmm.
like that. I think I draw that back to the mindset too of like, hey, are you willing to put yourself out there every day,
Yeah.
right? Which a lot of people kind of have a block and a resistance
Most
around.
people are just like they're really scared at the end of the day. Or playing they're scared of like their peers judging them or strangers judging them. But like it really doesn't matter. Like you just gotta have a thick skin about it, and you have to also know that they don't really get it.
Yeah,
No one gets it until you like kind of make it, and then suddenly everyone gets it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's certainly people, sorry, there's certainly people from like either high school or college that definitely when I started this didn't, they thought it was stupid or just like it wasn't gonna work. And it's just like, yeah, I don't really care. I'm just gonna keep doing it because like I think it's gonna work.
Yeah.
So
And I think 9 times out of 10, we think people care, but really 9 times out of 10, nobody actually fucking cares.
they don't.
Nobody gives a shit about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Like very few people actually care. And
Mhm.
especially when it comes to putting yourself out there, it's like, you know, people are looking at 100 pieces of content every day. They're
Yeah.
not gonna like latch on to that one thing that you put out, and like nobody's I hate to say it, it's like nobody cares and nobody's paying attention.
Yeah. Mhm.
Until you really start to
Yeah.
like put some real shit out that does start to move things. But yeah, in the beginning, I don't know. That's most people are not paying attention to what we're doing.
Yeah, no one really cares, honestly. So just like do it.
Yeah.
It's like you never know who's watching at the end of the day. Like, because when you start out, you're definitely gonna have like those videos. Like if you're posting every day, they're like getting maybe only like 500 views or something, or like maybe a couple thousand. You're like, okay, no one really cares. But it's like, do you really know? You really never know who's watching. Like you don't know how many label A&Rs are just kind of like looking for that next thing. Like
Yeah.
they're one of those 500 like viewers. Like you really never know.
Totally. And it's funny too because a lot of times people, some people are watching, but people aren't saying anything,
Mhm.
So it's like maybe you're not getting the comments or the love or the validation that you're seeking, but so many times people are seeing stuff, they're just not saying anything about it. They might think it's really fucking cool,
Hmm.
but they might not like it. They might
Yeah.
not comment on it, but
Mhm.
like they still actually think it's cool. You never
Yeah.
know who you're impacting and who is like I said, who's watching.
Right.
I actually just decided to start doing because I was noticing some resistance to posting with myself. Like I'll just get kind of lazy and I'll just post podcast clips, but
Right.
not make my own content and
Yeah.
just like kind of speak to the camera and so many different types of content I could be making. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna do like a 30-day challenge with myself.
Nice.
Just like I'm gonna just post every day for 30 days.
Stay accountable.
Yeah, just to flex the muscle,
Hmm.
just to flex the I don't give a fuck muscle, and just get reps in, and maybe I'll figure out some strategies along the way that work. But it's like whatever the inner resistance is that might feel like, yeah, are people going to judge me or caring too much about like what it is that I'm putting out? So it was funny because like literally the very first, I just flipped on my camera instead of thinking so hard about what I'm going to post. I flipped on my camera, recorded took 2 minutes to just record some shit talking to the camera and then threw it out. And then it was like, yeah, I had like laid back Luke commented on it like a little bit later. I was just like, it kind of blew my mind where I was just like which is someone I love and respect and really, really look up to. I was like, wow, that was so cool that like I took 30 seconds to post some shit that like took me no energy or effort. And, yeah, like you said, you never know who's watching.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, that was kind of like a cool little like universe nudge.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you just put shit out.
Just post it, man.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. So, what are you most excited about? What are you looking forward to?
I'm really excited for this next EP that I've been working on. Yeah, just really been working hard on that. And then basically next month is just like it's like festival season. So like every weekend I'm like doing back-to-back festivals. So I'm super excited for that, just to see all these new cities and have my friends come aboard and, come and do like just to see me, I think will be really great. Even this breakaway Atlanta that I'm playing. One of my best friend from college, he was like when I first started Nikita the Wicked, he was like making my cover arts and like shooting me. And we would always talk about how like, one day I'm gonna do this DJ thing and you're gonna come with me as like my videographer because he always wanted to go into concert photography. So I'm coming to Atlanta where he lives and I'm like, all right, you're gonna be my media for this. Like,
Let's go.
so he's taking it super seriously. And I have another kid from school who's gonna be my tour manager for that show, and he's gonna do another one that I'm doing in Canada. And he always really wanted to work in the music industry. I was always like, all right, you're gonna. So like all these people who kind of believed in me when I first started and also had that love for like whether it's like media or just music in general or just like creating something, just being a part of it. I'm just like, all right, you're coming with me now. Like we're gonna do this together. So
Dude, I love
really
that.
special.
Bringing the homies with you.
Yeah.
It's like Entourage.
Literally, it's my entourage, and like the people who like saw the vision from the beginning are now getting to be a part of it.
That's
So
so
it's really
sick,
cool.
man. I think it's so important to enjoy the journey
Yeah.
along the way. It's so easy to get caught up in like, okay, what's the next level to get to? And like, I got to grind and hustle. And it's like, wait, I was like, it's happening. It's happening right now.
I swear, week in and week out, my main anxiety is like, am I still relevant? Like, are people like forgetting about me? Like, all right, I got to do this. But it's like last time, like, wow, this is great. I'm like doing all these festivals. Like, this is gonna be awesome. So it's like I definitely got to take time to appreciate,
Yeah.
how I
Yeah.
feel, and I am very grateful for what's coming. So yeah, it's been
Mhm.
good.
But you notice those thoughts come up though, of the am I still relevant?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
am I doing okay? Are people forgetting about me? Because like, especially, it feels hard to kind of like stay relevant now. Like, you always got to be posting all the time because people's attention spans are so low, and you always are trying to get on that spot on the festival. Like, I'm trying to get to my slot like later in the night now.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to. So like, how do I do that?
Yeah.
So like, trying to like not only be relevant, but be the most relevant person, and it can be a lot to process.
Yeah. Well, and here's the truth. It doesn't end
Yeah.
because you get to that next spot.
Yeah.
And then there's the next spot
Okay,
above.
how do I headline now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's something I really coach on a lot is it's what I call like the inside out game,
Mhm.
right? Where most people were playing the outside in game. Is like, well, once I get to that next spot, then I can, be enough,
Mhm.
right? Then I can feel that sense of peace, right? And until then I'm having this anxiety of like, am I relevant, right? And so we're striving and hoping that, well, once I get the next time slot, once I get the more money or whatever,
Yeah, then I'll be happier. Like
exactly.
just
There's a
not it.
feeling that we're
Yeah.
chasing, right? And the whole idea of like the inside out game is like, yo, we gotta feel that now
Mhm.
and come from that place. Like, no, I'm already there. I'm already him.
That
I'm
makes-
already,
That makes
like
me think
in it.
about like people like Zed, who is, by the way, like probably the most famous person I know. We've like talked a little bit on Instagram, but like he just headlined Coachella. Like, I mean, he headlines every festival.
Yeah.
And, like, how many times he's been on the Billboard like top 100? It's just like what more can he do? Like, I don't like what is his mindset through stuff like that? Like, it's so insane to think
Yeah.
about stuff like that.
Yeah. There's a good clip floating around of Will Smith talking about like the two places of like the biggest depression, which is like when you're at rock bottom
Mm-hmm.
and you just have you're at that pit of of it, but also when you're at the top, because then you have everything
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, damn, I'm still not actually
Still empty.
Yeah, I just still don't actually have the thing I've been chasing this whole time.
Yeah.
And there's like a huge depression that can come from that as well.
Mhm.
So, back to, I think, just like the inner game, man, of how do we enjoy the process?
Yeah.
Where this was coming from. I think it's so cool to see like you're bringing the homies with you.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, like it all gets to be fun now at this stage.
Yeah.
I remember I used to work with David Guetta's manager.
Cool.
And I had just signed my first like baby acts, that I was developing as a manager. And she was working with David Guetta, who was the number 1 or number 2
Yeah.
DJ Mag, DJ that year.
He's still like number 3 most listened to artist on Spotify.
I hate how much hate he gets, by the way. I would just say he is actually one of the most like authentic artists.
Sure he is.
Fucking like
Yeah.
he just loves making music with cool people. That's his whole thing, and
Mhm.
he gets so much hate. But I remember her telling me, she's like, "Wow, I really wish." She's like, "I actually miss being where you are right now
Mhm.
on like the come up." Because she's like, the game now is like, how do we stay?
Yeah.
How do you stay on top? And
Yeah.
she's like, the game is different. She's like, it's like that game of coming up. She's like, that's the fun. That's the adventure,
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think we get to make sure we really fucking enjoy it.
Yeah, this is definitely the coming up in the game. It's definitely the fun part right now
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. And that's exciting, man. Well, you are definitely coming up. I'm so excited to see what this next year holds for you. I'm so excited to see you throw down tonight with Zed's Dead.
It's gonna be fun.
Concourse project. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So yeah, man. Thanks so much for coming through to take the time and share all this great stuff with everyone.
Dude, yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Like me. Control, like me. Yeah. You never find somebody do it like me, like me.